New for you at 4, the man accused of holding a woman at gunpoint and trying to kidnap her Sunday morning is not in custody. It happened in broad daylight at the Hillsborough subway. 62-year-old Mark Wybe is now charged with 3 felonies for attempted kidnapping, felonious restraint, and menacing. After the incident, he was taken to a Fargo hospital but eventually released. There's now a warrant out for his arrest. Also new at 4, a 23-year-old Fargo man is facing charges for the sexual assault of a 15-year-old girl earlier this month. Court documents say the girl was reported missing July 19th. Police found her after a gas station clerk called them, saying a teen girl asked for a piece of paper and wrote "help me" as well as a phone number while she was buying items at the store. Court documents say the girl had left in a car with 6 men to go to a barbecue in Moorhead. She told officers during the ride 23-year-old Michael Ayleth tried to take her shirt off and touched her underneath her shirt. The girl said she fought him off, but another man inside the vehicle then pointed a gun at her and told the victim to do what they say or he would shoot her. Michael Ayleth is charged with 2 felonies, including conspiracy to commit gross sexual imposition and sexual assault against a minor. A similar case remains open in Cass County involving Ayleth, where he's charged with corruption of a minor, sexual assault, and aggravated assault. He's pleaded not guilty. The man accused of pointing a gun at the victim has not yet been charged. Several area fire departments responded to a fire at an elevator west of Wahpeton today. A grain elevator in Barney had smoke coming from the basement just after 10 a.m. The son of the elevator owner was the first person to report the blaze.
We had a couple of guys hauling corn, and when they opened the door, they noticed some smoke. He gave me a call right away. I came in and started to look into it, and I said, I got to call the fire department just to be sure. And then they got in there and started to sent some teams in there and brought the water, and within about 45 minutes, an hour, I think they ended up finding where it was. So.
Fires are notoriously difficult to fight in grain elevators. They can turn catastrophic in minutes. Well, here's something you don't see every day. It may be late July, but the St. Louis County Rescue Squad found a little piece of winter while they were training this week. The squad was training in the Sudan mine Saturday when they found piles of snow and ice that survived winter. They made the discovery about 250 feet down, a spot that rarely sees sunlight. On a Facebook post, the team says they often train there in September and October and almost always find snow and ice then, but they say this amount at this time of year is very unusual. Hutch joins us now with a first look at a snow-free forecast. Hutch.
Indeed, yeah, and well, maybe if you make yourself a hole 250 feet down, you might find some that's still surviving. And we're cooler as well. Darker skies in Grand Forks shown here on our Home of Economy camera, and a couple of raindrops on our lens there. So some sprinkles working their way through. Once again, from Grand Forks into northern portions of Minnesota is where we see the most widespread showers. The heaviest or stronger showers are in the Arrowhead of Minnesota, as we talked about yesterday. So clouds here in the Central Valley and points east are yielding just a couple of drops, and outside of Grand Forks we do see a little heavier shower pressing in towards south central Grand Forks County at this hour between Reynolds and, say, Northwood. Here's a look at your temperatures. Mid-60s in Bemidji, mid-70s in Oaks. So still well below average for all locations, with the coolest temperatures this evening to the east. Here in Fargo, we should stay dry. I can't rule out a Renegade sprinkle drop, but that'll be about it. So if you're heading out to the car show tonight in Castleton, get on out there. Looks good. Temperatures will be comfortable. We'll slip down to those 60s pretty quickly this evening as the sun sets. We're on our way to the 50s for the last real cool night for several. Grand Forks similarly, a better chance of a few evening sprinkles though for our northern and eastern counties. Coming up, the heat returns, Stacy, so that's going to take a toll on those snowbanks that are left down there at 250 feet down. Also, we have to talk about a chance of storms, and we'll do that in a minute.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch.
Yeah.
A juvenile has been charged with DUI after police say they were speeding in a Fargo neighborhood early this morning, crashing into multiple mailboxes, then sideswiping a building. Police say just before 2 a.m. they responded to a crash in the 1700 block of 35th Avenue South in Fargo, where they found a child at the wheel with the passenger. They'd hit an electrical box and a tree before rolling that vehicle. Both children have non-life-threatening injuries. The driver was referred to juvenile court for several charges. A car erupted into flames near downtown Fargo just after 11 a.m. You could see flames and smoke coming out of the driver's side of that car. Crews were able to get the blaze under control quickly. Fargo Fire Department hasn't released the cause of the fire. Authorities are warning people about fake money going around Traverse County, Minnesota. They say this fake $100 bill was passed in Wheaton. You'll notice the pink markings on the left. The Sheriff's Department urges people to fully examine bills before accepting them. A federal agency uncovered a scandal at U.S. Bank that took place for more than a decade. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says U.S. Bank pressured its employees to open fake accounts in customers' names in order to meet unrealistic sales goals. Wells Fargo was accused of similar sales practices 6 years ago. The agency alleges employees were encouraged to access consumers' credit reports, to open checking and savings accounts, credit cards, and lines of credit without their permission. The scale of the scandal was not disclosed, but the bank was forced to pay more than $37 million in fines and penalties, and they'll have to refund customers any fees they paid for those opened accounts. Today, President Biden is denying claims that the United States is in a recession. This comes after the government announced today that the economy shrank for the second straight quarter. Deborah Alfarone has more details from the White House.
Government figures show the U.S. economy continues to slide. The Bureau of Economic Analysis says the gross domestic product fell at an annual rate of 0.9% from April through June. This marks the second straight quarter the economy has contracted, falling 1.6% at the start of the year.
Economists say we're not in a recession.
A recession being labeled as such is almost irrelevant. Either you've got a job or you don't, and you can afford these high prices, or you can't.
2 straight quarters of negative GDP would typically signal a recession, but the White House insists that's not the case.
Record unemployment of 3.6% today. We've created 9 million new jobs so far, just since I became president.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell warned that some people could end up losing their jobs in the future as the Fed fights back against rising inflation.
This process is likely to involve a period of below-trend economic growth and some softening in labor market conditions.
The Fed announced Wednesday it's raising interest rates by 0.75 percentage point in order to try to bring down inflation.
Higher prices, ones that we have not seen in decades, are going to be with us probably at least for 6, maybe 9 months. It will feel better, but it's not going to feel good.
Higher rates will make it more expensive to pay down credit card debt and raise the cost of an auto loan, adjustable rate mortgages, and small business loans. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
Now, today's GDP report is based on incomplete data and is considered an initial estimate. The number can be revised up or down later when the Bureau releases a second estimate. That's happening August 25th. Today would have been the first day of abortion being illegal in North Dakota, except for yesterday's district judge ruling that put a temporary restraining order on the state's abortion trigger ban. But the general belief is that abortion will still become illegal in North Dakota sometime soon. We'll bring you the latest on that, plus other health care options for women up and down the Red River Valley tonight on Valley News Live at 5. The Kremlin says a possible prisoner swap with the United States needs to be negotiated quietly, without fanfare. But U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken told the media that Washington had offered Russia a deal. A person familiar with the matter said the U.S. government proposed trading convicted Russian arms dealer Victor Bout for American basketball star Brittany Griner and corporate security executive Paul Whelan. However, the Kremlin emphasized no agreements have been finalized. Griner was arrested at a Moscow airport in mid-February when inspectors found vape cartridges containing cannabis oil in her luggage. Whelan was sentenced on espionage charges in 2020. The U.S. government says the charges are false. An especially tense time for U.S.-Russia relations after more than 5 months of war in Ukraine. Holly Williams spent some time with American military vets who are helping train Ukrainians to defend their country against the Russian military.
Keep your fingers straight outside the trigger.
In an old quarry around 10 miles from the front line, a group of former U.S. servicemen are training Ukrainian soldiers.
Nothing else matters unless our bullet is going where we want it to go.
Many of the Ukrainians only signed up after Russia's invasion and could be headed to the front within days. But some have little experience firing a gun.
Fire!
This is a 5-day course. They're also learning battlefield first aid and how to maneuver.
The lead instructor, Rob, told us he was a Marine sergeant and comes from Arkansas, but won't share his last name for security reasons.
Russia invaded them. They didn't ask for the fight. They didn't pick it, from what I know. Let's help them out.
This Ukrainian fighter goes by the call sign Bison. The American trainers, he said, may be the difference between life and death.
If you want to win the fight, you need to be alive. The people who are not trained, they will not last long on the battlefield.
Thousands of foreigners have also reportedly taken up arms themselves in Ukraine. We drove to another location to meet a group of soldiers who just come from the front line, and before that, from all over the world. Some prefer not to show their faces for their own safety.
Thought I'd come over and see if I could lend a hand.
This doctor from New Zealand is serving as a medic.
The artillery fire is pretty hectic and brutal. There are a lot of concussions, blast injuries and so on if people are closer to an explosion.
And Shen comes from Taiwan,
所以台湾离这儿很远。
telling us he was spurred to fight by the Russian military's abuses. Ukraine has won hearts and minds from around the globe in its battle against Russia's invading army.
Holly Williams, CBS News.
In eastern Ukraine.
In other news here at 4, it's Miracle Treat Day at Dairy Queen. At least $1 from every Blizzard sold at participating locations will go to the Children's Miracle Network. In the FM Metro, that means Sanford Children's will get the donations to help children fighting critical illnesses. To see if the Dairy Queen in your neighborhood is participating, just go to our website, valleynewslive.com, and click on this story.